Hi, I'm Marc, and welcome to the weekly Outside Views report on the politics of both Americas. And today I want to talk about an important visit of our president to Canada. Because before his visit to Canada, German federal president Frank-Walter Steinmeier emphasized the increased importance of the relationship between the two countries. Germany and Canada have been friends with each other for decades. But recent geopolitical changes, Russia's war against Ukraine, the conflict between China and the West, all of this has made us reconsider. That's what he said on Sunday during a flight to the Canadian capital, Ottawa. If we look back and say we knew we liked each other in the past, now we know we need each other more than ever, he said. During his visit to Canada, Federal President Frank-Walter Steinmeier called for a joint defense of the liberal democracies that are being attacked from within and without. We have to avoid being politically and economically vulnerable. That's what he said in Ottawa on Monday at a luncheon with Governor General Mary Simon, who represented King Charles III as head of state of Canada. Our democracy is also a critical infrastructure. Let's preserve and protect it against internal and external attacks, the president said. In addition to Russia, Steinmeier also named China as an international challenge. China's economic and political claim to power will shape the future of international relations in the long run, he said. As a Pacific nation, Canada plays an important role in efforts by all Western countries to counter China's growing influence in the Indo-Pacific. Germany and Canada have a common goal. We want to expand our network with the countries in the region in order to reduce one-sided dependencies on China, Steinmeier said. Steinmeier arrived in the Canadian capital Ottawa on Sunday. He was accompanied by his wife Elke Büdenbender and a business delegation. Federal Education and Research Minister Bettina Stark-Watzinger from the Liberals was also taking part in the four-day trip. On Monday, Steinmeier met Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau for talks. He paid tribute to the German leadership, for example, in the group of G7 countries, and emphasized that both countries worked side by side in supporting Ukraine, said Trudeau. For many Germans, Canada is a place of longing, Steinmeier said in his after-dinner speech over lunch. Political relations have always been friendly, sometimes perhaps a little non-binding. That has changed. Germany and Canada are more closely connected than ever. We know what we have in each other and how much we need each other. With an area of almost 10 million square kilometers, Canada is the second largest country in the world after Russia and about 28 times the size of Germany. However, only a good 39 million people live there, not even half as many as in Germany. The country has vast natural resources such as oil, gas, and minerals. And this makes it interesting as a trading partner, especially since Germany wants to reduce its dependencies on Russia and China. Trade is facilitated by the controversial Sita agreement, which the German Bundestag ratified in December. It is intended to facilitate business between companies in the EU and Canada by eliminating almost all customs duties and through common rules. Sita has already intensified trade between our two countries, said Steinmeier during the flight to Ottawa already. The agreement obviously also offers incentives for mutual investments. CETA stands for Comprehensive Economic and Trade Agreement, and it is a free trade agreement between Canada and the European Union. It was signed on October 30th in 2016 after 7 years of negotiations and required the approval of all, that time 28 EU member states, and Canada's federal government as well as all 10 Canadian provinces. CETA aims to eliminate most tariffs on goods traded between Canada and the EU, as well as to provide improved access to each other's markets for services, investment, and government procurement. It also includes provisions on intellectual property, labor, and environmental standards, and establishes a mechanism for resolving disputes between investors and states. That was one of the controversial parts. The agreement has been controversial, with some critics raising concerns about the impact on jobs and public services, as well as the potential for increased corporate influence over government policy. Supporters argue that it will increase trade and economic growth and provide new opportunities for businesses on both sides of the Atlantic. Sita is one of the most ambitious free trade agreements ever negotiated, covering a population of over 500 million people and a combined GDP of over 20 trillion euros. It is expected to boost bilateral trade by 20% and increase Canadian GDP by 12 billion annually, and the EU's GDP also by 12 billion. The one in Canadian dollars, the other in euro. The agreement eliminates tariffs on 98% of goods traded between Canada and the EU, with the remaining 2% to be phased out over a period of up to 7 years. And this includes tariffs on products such as seafood, agricultural goods, and machinery. Sita also includes provisions to protect geographic indications, which are labels that are used to identify products originating in a specific geographic region, such as champagne or Parmigiano or Parmesan cheese. The agreement includes a controversial investor-state dispute settlement mechanism, which allows corporations to sue governments if they believe that government policies have harmed their investments. Critics argue that this gives too much power to corporations and undermines democratic decision-making. The agreement has faced opposition from some groups, including labor unions, environmentalists, and consumer rights organizations. In particular, concerns have been raised about the potential impact on workers' rights, on public services, and environmental standards. But overall, I personally think CETA is a good thing and is doing a lot for both sides of the Atlantic. And if you are interested in more interesting reports, the next one is right here in the end screen. I'll see you there. I'll be back.